So I have not done, at least I feel like I haven't done a lid flip in a minute. So let's see if I still got it. Well, we'll just leave it at that. Hey, what's good guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on these bad boys right here. This is the Air Jordan 1 High OG in a brand new colorway called the Celadon. This is actually a neighborhood launch, so going to be available over at neighborhood retailers, which essentially kind of means like, it's not like a quick strike, but it's not like everywhere, even though I'm pretty sure these are going to be everywhere. If you guys remember the Rebellion Air release, like this is going to be that kind of launch. Now before we deep dive into these real quick,
after these messages, we'll be right back.
if you wanted to know our thoughts on the latest sneaker news, well, we've got good news for you because there's a podcast for that. If you wanted to know Chris's thoughts on the latest nerd there's a podcast for that. If you wanted to listen to Mrs. Wing tell really weird stories and maybe learn something new for the day,
there's a podcast for that.
You can find the WearTesters Unlaced podcast, also known as the Pop Culture Podcast, available now on all streaming networks, including right here on our YouTube channel. It uploads every Saturday, so yes, we're making Saturday mornings great again. Now, what some of you guys may be wondering is, what the f is Celadon? Celadon actually is the color. And we just looked this up over at Google. Celadon is a pale blue green named after a type of ceramic that originated in China. Celadon is both a color and a glaze that was developed and refined during the 10th and 11th centuries. Celadon, the color, has undertones of gray and jade. So that's what the green is. The green is the Celadon. Like I said, it's a neighborhood launch. On top of that, they're built a little bit differently than some of the other OG highs. So I think that's kind of interesting too. And the material usage or the choices for the materials are really interesting as well. But first, we got the greatest traction of all time right here on the bottom. It's a rubber cup sole with this rubber sole. This is done up in that olive kind of green colorway. And then moving on up, obviously that's attached to the rubber cup sole. Inside of that cup sole is a polyurethane wedge. And inside of that wedge is an encapsulated air sole unit right there in the heel. And on top of that is this insole right here. This is that fake Dream Cell stuff. This is weird. It's like kind of dense, but still soft. I wish that they were like actual polyurethane, but it is what it is. Oh, and yes, before I forget, they do come with extra laces as well. So the ones that are standard in the shoe are already kind of like laced up in there are the sail color, but they do come with the green as well. Now the materials are the thing that kind of like really drew me to these. Not just the materials, I will say it was a little bit of the color as well. They kind of remind me of like an Undefeated kind of look to them, you know what I mean? Not quite, because obviously the colors are real muted in comparison to the dark olive and the darker orange, but fairly similar, you know what I'm saying? And on top of that, I thought this was also really weird. I saw this because I was like, man, I swear I've seen these before. They were a comfort release. So yeah, I thought that was a little weird too. Still a good looking shoe, but just a strange thing overall. And again, the materials are really nice on the majority of the shoe. So the exterior panels, the ones that are done up in this green color, are a really nice like short-haired nubuck, and it just looks and feels great. You can run your finger across it, just looks awesome, and it's super soft. The leather underneath it's okay, it's pretty standard. Basically, like those materials are kind of the same as previous Jordan 1. So if you don't like that, then I mean, you probably won't like this. But at this point, like I said, it's like almost standard. So who cares? You know what I mean? This is the way that they're all kind of made now. There's like really nice overlay materials. The underlays are kind of sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. The materials that I dislike though, that I think are like a super weird choice to use, especially on a shoe that has so much nice material on it, actually is the orange. So the orange is synthetic, both the swoosh and the collar, and it's this like why? Like it's not even holographic. Like why my shoes sound like that? You know what I mean? And on top of that, this hard as shit, dude. Like that's not comfortable on the back of your foot. Like that's the part where I've been loving the OG highs, even though it's not quite OG, is that back collar material has been so soft and so plush, feels like almost like memory foam, that they're comfortable to wear. You know what I mean? Like you can just stuff your foot in them and just go. Not this one. This one's one of those, I don't know. It's just really weird to me because, like I said, everything on the shoe is so nice, and then you get to those two materials and you're like, bro, what happened? Like, where'd the budget go? Like, did it disappear? Is that why we got this? It's like, I would have gave the laces back and give me some nice materials back there. I'm just saying. So yeah, I think that's a little weird. And then another change up that they did for this shoe, which they don't do often, at least not on the OG highs, is actually the tongue. So the tongue is like fairly original, which is really cool. So it's a nylon front. The back is like an original style nylon that they used to use back in the 80s. But then they're like rough cut. So they're all exposed edges. Something that the new sneakerheads are like tightly associating with like off-white stuff, but this was something that they again did way back in the 80s. So I thought that was really interesting that like there's some touches on this that are kind of like a callback to the past, and then there's elevated stuff like the majority of the materials, and then there's some stuff like that orange color, and it's just kind of like really weird. And then on top of that, you kind of like limited them to a neighborhood launch, and then you slowly and quietly are like, oh, by the way, they drop at the end of December. Good luck. It just seems really weird, but it is what it is. I believe that the reason for the neighborhood launches are for foot traffic. I think that they kind of bit themselves in the ass, and not just Nike or Jordan. I'm talking about all shoe companies, where they were really going hard on the direct-to-consumer thing, doing the online stuff, especially during the pandemic, which was great and everything for what it is. And some people stay as online shoppers, but the majority of their money, and I'm talking about, you know, footwear brands, actually comes from the wholesale stuff that they actually sell to foot sites and stuff like Foot Locker and Champs and all of these retailers. And if they're buying less of your product up front, then you're forced to sell all that product yourself. And sometimes it sits, especially right now. So they don't like that, you know what I mean? So like you'll see these phantom drops where they'll be online and then they'll disappear and they'll be like, they sold out. And then all of a sudden the next day there's a restock, even though it's not a restock, it's the same stock. They just didn't sell it through. So they got to put it back on to make sure that you think that this is limited, even though it's not. So yeah, I believe that neighborhood launches are just for that purpose in general. Hey, go to your neighborhood store and see what's in there. You might be surprised. But yeah, I didn't see these listed on sneakers. So again, that's just my theory. I don't know if it's factual. It's just what I assume based off what we've seen in the past with neighborhood launches. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, they fit true to size. Whatever you typically wear in your Air Jordan 1s, that's exactly what I would recommend. Again, I think that the colorway and the majority of the materials are super nice. Like, what do you think about these? These kind of look like you. Like if an Air Jordan 1 was Jody, this is it.
Yeah, no, I do like them. I thought it was very clever to really utilize the tongue and the sponginess stuff they put inside of it. It really just ties everything together with the orange. So I think it's a very clever shoe.
I think that they're nice. I just don't know how nice in the grand scheme of 11s and 3s and this and that. Like everything that's dropping, I just don't know, you know what I mean? But I think that they're cool. I actually really like the box too. Like I swear you can like use these boxes as wall art. Like if you just take off the lid and tack them.
The horror.
Even though I know that sneakerheads would never do that because you're damaging the box and stuff, but I'm just saying it would look cool.
The horror.
Well, this box came damaged, so I think you're fine.
Most of my boxes do come damaged. It kind of sucks. I think that UPS and stuff likes to... But anyways, with all that being said, sound off below and let us know what you think about these in the comment section. Is this a hit? Is this a miss? Are you completely uninterested in Air Jordan 1s at this point? Or do you still, like me, primarily wear Air Jordan 1s casually? So when you see this, you're like, finally, a cool color.
I think I heard your back crack through your body in the microphone.
Oh yeah?
There was a weird little pop. It'll be interesting to see if it's there.
Are you sure it was my back and not this stupid thing in my mouth?
It didn't sound like that. Mm-mm.
No?
Mm-mm. It sounded like a little...
Well, I'm getting pretty up there in age, so wouldn't be surprising. But with that being said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it. Happy holidays to everybody, by the way. I don't know when this video is coming out, so we're doing as best as we can to get everything out as timely as possible, or as on time as possible.
I'm excited. Our end of year video will be going up soon.
Oh, somebody was asking about that, and I was
they
like,
said,
I don't
we're
even
waiting.
know. Yeah, I was like, all one of you, because nobody watches those videos. But
I know, but they're fun for me to put together.
I know, it's just a random kind of like thing for like people that actually with us, like, and support us. It's our version of a year-end recap.
Yeah.
But instead of focusing on the product, we focus on all the dumb that we did. You gotta make fun of yourself, right? But anyways, we'll see you guys on the next one. So until then, have a good one.